Hello, how you doing today, Mr. Hartman?
I'm very good. It just started raining here. I had to let my dogs in the house.
Well, hey, I know they love you for that.
Yes, I am William Hartman. I am a landscape architect, and I also have a background in architecture. And Obviously, I'm, another of these old white men that you get to talk to, that gets to talk to you. Well, like many people here, I arrived because of the Air Force. My dad was an Air Force pilot, and one of the first places that we lived was in Bossier City. And I actually went to first, second, and third grades in Bossier City, Louisiana, at some elementary school out in the cotton fields. And then after 3 years of being here, my father was transferred to upstate New York. And then we went to, we went to a number of places. And then he retired from the Air Force in 1973. And we were in Indiana, and we had to choose a place to move to. And that became Shreveport. And I guess that's mostly because my parents like to fish. And, here we've got the sportsman's paradise, and they made the most of that. So, and I did a lot of fishing when I was in high school. So I finished my education. I went to 10th, 11th, and 12th grades at Southwood High School. Go Cowboys. So my mom's from Pennsylvania, and my dad is from Texas. And so other than the fact that we retired here, and my mother still lives here. My father died a few years ago. And so I returned to Shreveport 10 years ago to be closer to my mom. I had been living in Los Angeles and was not really happy with that big city and all the traffic, and I wanted to get away. So I moved to be closer to her. So that's how I ended up in Shreveport. When I got here 10 years ago, I began attending meetings with a group sort of based around Centenary College called A Better Shreveport. And through that, I met a number of people interested in, improving the city. And one of them was Dr. Brian Salvatore. And I remember being in a meeting with him, and he was talking about I-49 and how it should not go through Allendale. And at that time, I actually said, that doesn't make sense to me. They've been planning this for forever. They should just go ahead and build it. And, this was me coming from Los Angeles, and, I didn't understand really what goes on here. And so then I began exploring the Allendale neighborhood. I've always been interested in urban design. That's sort of the combination of architecture and landscape architecture, and have done a lot of professional work in Houston and Los Angeles, sort of about urban design issues. So I went looking at Allendale, and I thought, wow, this is a really interesting neighborhood. And especially when I began to see how it connected into downtown, and how it really is the only neighborhood that is now directly connected to downtown. That, the rest of downtown Shreveport is ringed by either a river or a bayou or an interstate. And I thought, this is a viable neighborhood. And so with that, I began, actively supporting the idea of preventing the intercity connector from being built. And so shortly after that, I got a job at Louisiana Tech teaching architecture, and where I was for 7 years. So I wasn't able to participate as actively as I wanted because I was living in Ruston, and but I still participated as I could. And so one of the things that I did was I hooked up with Kim Mitchell to teach a studio, an architecture studio that looked at building an inner city boulevard. In other words, connecting the end of I-49 at I-20 to where it was going to be finished, and now is finished, north of the city. And so we explored that, and then looked, the students then proposed different solutions for rebuilding the Allendale neighborhood. So I got quite familiar with it. And so that's really how, and so that led to me, attending Allendale Strong meetings and, beating up people on the internet who don't understand really what they're talking about when they say building I-49 is going to be the solution to all of Shreveport's problems. And so John Perkins and I joined in a lot of, conversations with people who support building the inner city connector. And so 2 years ago, I left Louisiana Tech to move back to Shreveport. I bought a house here. It's not in Allendale, but it is a historic house, and I've been restoring it. It's of a different style, but so I'm fully committed to, participating in this city and trying to help it become what it should be.
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today, and we want to make sure that you can, everybody is able to hear your story, and we'll talk to you again another time.
Okay.